Alright, garage door Mike, we're going to show you today what to look for when the company comes out and does a broken spring replacement. So number one, if they don't have the springs, they sometimes will just leave and come back and get them, or we will spring block it. Measure the spring even though it's labeled, because you could have had some goofball do that. And then what you could ask for is cycle life. Anything under 36 inches, you're probably going to get between 20 and maybe 28,000 cycles, which is good. Anything longer than that, 36 and up, you're going to get over probably 30 to 50,000 cycles, depending on the door and the usage. So that's number one. Number two, company that come out should have a pump can of oil to oil the bearings. So both sides of the bearing should get oiled. You see the oil that's coming out of the pump can. So usually when the tube's in there, you could spin the tube and you could see the bearing moving, and then the oil will seep into there to oil all the little ball bearings properly. Do that on both sides. That should be done. If your guy doesn't have an oil can, maybe 3-in-1 would work. 3-in-1 the oil. This is 3-in-1 lube, not the oil. 3-in-1 oil, where you could squeeze the oil out of it. Doing this 33 years, oil is the only proper way to oil these bearings. The end. Next thing would be, showed you on a previous video, you could ask the installer or serviceman to look at the age of the spring, and if they don't know, there are numbers inside the plugs. Sometimes the numbers are on the outside here and here, but most times they are inside. And if you look, it says 15. So that's about 6 to 7 years old. You would say, Mike, that's 7 years old. Well, correct, from when that plug was made, not when the spring was installed. So it could have been sitting on the shelf 6-8 months to a year before we got it, and then we buy them in bulk. We could have sat on it for a few months. I give you a year grace period. So say 2016 for that spring is 6 years old. With daily use, if this is the way they come in and out, which is definitely the way it is, because this is the back side of this place, the front door's on the other side, 6 years is good for, especially this is an 8-foot high door too. So that's something to look for. Number two, I got that cable already spun up and gripped off. Number two is, if you see that icky stuff on the pipe, you could have the guy oil and lube that. That could get done so the new spring doesn't scratch on the pipe and make noise, a screeching noise. Check your cables, both sides. Make sure there's no frays in them. Make sure they're not wavy, stretched. Check the bottoms of them on the bottom fixture. Make sure it's not completely rusted off. That's another thing you could do. Oil the plastic bearing, or if it's a solid center bearing. Let's see if I got one here. I don't know if I got a solid. Oh yeah, here we go. If you got a solid center bearing like this, where the bearing don't come off, make sure that gets oiled as well. Same deal. Pump the oil while the pipe's in there, like so. And while this is spinning, the oil will seat in the little ball bearings inside there. And you could do that. You could actually see the bearings if you kind of look kind of close there. So if you want, like I said, get both sides. Get some oil in there. There we go. Spin that baby and get the oil in there. That's super important. You get a lot of bad cable jobs because the end bearings are worn off or they're not set in the right position all the time. all the time. Check all your hinges, make sure all the hinges are tight, make sure they're not cracked, especially on the little corners where the end hinges are. They crack there a lot. You can check that. Make sure they're oiled and lubed, and depending on your cycle life, how many times you use the door, if you go through springs a lot, maybe it's time to upgrade. Ask your installer service tech how to upgrade. If you have questions, you can call us and we'll tell you how you upgrade. When you upgrade springs, you go higher in wire size, longer in length. So you use less coils. That's how you upgrade springs. So you could basically have a spring that starts there in the middle and goes, I've done it, where they go almost all the way to the end there. Now those springs will never break again. You'll never see that customer again for springs, but you can also charge them for that, which we do accordingly. And those are some things you could, some tips on what you could do when your company comes out to do broken springs. And I know you guys noticed like all these stickers on the back of my vans. Those are just, we take those down when people are done with those guys and they want service from us because they got burned or whatever. We tell you the truth and we'll do it that way for you. Now this opener here is going to be fun to adjust. I'm going to need my mini flathead because it's boxed in kind of nice right there. But those are some things to look at on your broken spring jobs from your garage door companies. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop it below. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Without you, it doesn't happen. Bless all you people. We thank you for your subscribing and liking and watching the videos. And as always, I encourage everyone to praise the Lord. Make sure your guys are oiling and lubing stuff up. That's numero uno. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.